Good to go.
Thanks, Eric. Very much appreciated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We will call to order the regular meeting of the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, May 7 of 2024. Appreciate everybody joining us today. A couple of housekeeping items. I'll note that the meeting is being live streamed and also being recorded. And then would also ask if you have any type of an electronic communication device, if you'd be kind enough to put it on silent or vibrate, we would appreciate that courtesy. Let me also note that Commissioner Kennedy is not with us today. He is in Harrisburg as we speak. As you've heard us say at prior meetings, Mr. Kennedy is our lead representative to the Southwest Pennsylvania Planning Commission Board of Directors, and that group of individuals traveled to Harrisburg yesterday and spent part of yesterday and part of today meeting with legislators and state administration officials. So we'll look forward to hearing back from Mr. Kennedy when he returns. But we can still conduct business based on state law as long as there are two of us here. That constitutes quorum. So we're able to move forward. We always begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence. Commissioner Solano, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We'll have a brief moment of silence. Thank you all very much. Vanessa, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sinata?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here. Thank you. We always set aside time during the meeting, two opportunities for public comment. One will be in just a few moments, and then we also have an opportunity for public comment right before we adjourn. We welcome your comments. You're welcome to speak both times, one of the two times, or if you're just here to listen, that's equally fine. We do ask that your comments be related to county government matters, and that if you could try to limit your time to about 5 minutes or so out of respect for people's schedules, we would appreciate that courtesy. Did everybody get an agenda? Looks like everybody has one, so that's good. And Roman numeral 2, we always set aside time for any of our row officers. Somebody once said, what's a row officer? Those are the other elected officials here at the courthouse. That would be, for example, our county controller, our county treasurer, prothonotary, register and recorder, and so on. District attorney. I've probably missed a few, but those folks are referred to as row officers, and we always set aside time in case any of them happen to attend our meeting. They are not required to attend our meeting, but sometimes they do, and we give them an opportunity if they want to bring any update to us. So that takes us to Roman numeral 3, which would be public comment. If you have a comment, I can call on you, and if you could state your name for the record, we'll be glad to hear from you. Hearing none at this time, once again, we'll do this again before we adjourn. So thank you all. Next on the agenda would be fiscal and contractual. We drop down to the warrant registers. The warrant registers are also referred to as the check reconciliation registers. This is a listing that is given to us by the county controller's office most every week, providing us an update on what checks have been cut by their office. These registers are dated April 29, April 30, and May 2. Chris, I'll give you whatever time you would need to look them over. I did notice that a lot of these payments were to the men and women who work on election day at the various polling places throughout the county. They all receive their payment by check. So there's quite a number of pages with all of those names on them. But Chris, take whatever time you need, and whenever you're ready, I could take a motion for us to accept these documents.
I've read them, I move that we accept the documents.
Thank you, sir, and I've also read them, and I will second your motion. Do you have any questions or concerns? Okay, thank you so much. We'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Vanessa. Next on the agenda are the minutes. Incidentally, these documents to which I will be referring, if anybody wishes to see them, we'll be happy to share them with you. They're all public documents. The minutes of the April 30 meeting are in our packet, and Chris, once again, take whatever time you might need, and then whenever you're ready, I could take a motion to adopt the minutes.
I've read them already, and I move that we adopt the minutes.
Thank you, sir. I will second your motion, and unless you have any questions or concerns, we can have Vanessa call the roll.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Every once in a while, we have maybe one of our department heads come into the meeting and give us an update on things going on within their department. And today, we have folks from Mental Health and Developmental Services Office, which is one of the county's departments. And would you two care to come up? I know there's only one seat there, but if you could pull up a chair and introduce yourselves for the record. And then I know you want to give us an update on a recent report that was received by your office from the Commonwealth, the Quality Assessment Report. We've got a copy of it. We looked it over. It looked pretty good to us. But please, if you could enter your name for the record and give us an update on it.
Yeah, so I'm Scott Baldwin, the NHDS director, and
Denise Sarah, the DS director.
so when you had mentioned this report, Dan, I'd like to take all the credit in the world for it, but I have to default this to Denise. This report's been ongoing for many years, predates me quite a bit, even Joe as well. So to speak of this, Denise spends a lot of her time and her staff's time preparing and doing this. So I'll just default to her to sort of give us a report on that.
Sure, thanks, Scott. I actually attribute it to my staff as well, because they work very hard and diligent to achieve success with this review. So just to give you a little basic understanding of it, we contract, as you know, with the State Office of Developmental Programs for providing supports and services to individuals with disabilities, developmental and intellectual, as well as on the autism spectrum. And once every 3 years, the state cycles through and conducts this review of our contract. And so it's very comprehensive, and it includes like record reviews, our management plan, basically our day-to-day operations. And they break it down into sections, and then one is policies and procedures, which is where we administer the program. And on the day-to-day operations, as I said, and we received 100% for that. And then the other section would be for like our quality management plan and our record reviews, and we received about approximately 94% on that. So staff have worked really hard to achieve that, and we're very proud of that. Of our work.
When I was in school, 94% usually meant that was an A. I didn't see that very often. That's what they told me. So that's, and then you said 100%.
Yes.
Fantastic. That's great. And did I hear you say this is undertaken, the report, the review, once every 3 years? Did I hear that right?
Yes, and then we do a self-assessment,
Mhm.
and then every 3 years they come on site.
I see. About how much time do they spend with you altogether, but not only on site, but perhaps through communication?
Well, sometimes it's daily or weekly communications with hospital programs. But with regard to this, there's much training involved in it, and there's weeks, if not months, worth of preparation prior to them coming. And before they even come, we do several weeks of desk reviews. So, because we have 5 individuals or more that we provide services to. So they take a percentage of those and they review those records.
I see. Good. Well, our congratulations and thanks to the two of you and your staff. You were quick to give them credit, which quote saying credit where credit is due. But obviously, the leadership comes from the two of you. And it's nice to hear this type of an update. So that's why when I looked it over, I thought, well, let's share this with everybody. Let them know what you're doing, what you have to go through, and what the end result was, which is a very positive result. Commissioner Sanada, do you have questions or comments for Denise or Scott?
Scott, Denise, we appreciate your efforts there and you're doing a good job. And we like these type of reports and look forward to that in the future.
Yeah, what's neat, you know, as you guys know, the state at times with their requirements, you know, can be over-regulatory, right? And when you look at a report that comes in every 3 years, as Denise mentioned, like our staff, this is every day that they monitor and prepare, and to have someone come in once every 3 years and everything looks good, sometimes that's just a tribute to the quality of the staff we have, and they're always on top of stuff. So, yeah, when Dan wanted to mention, I thought, wow, what a great time to just to highlight that this stuff goes on every day. Every 3 years, we sort of get a grade, and it's nice to see that. You're right, Dan, it's considered a quality report. So, very, very appreciative of that.
Thank you for having us.
One other thing I'll note on a somewhat personal matter. Last week, the three of us, including Commissioner Kennedy, were at a meeting with a number of commissioners from around the region. And we have a good friend who's an Armstrong County commissioner over in Katanning. And recently he grew a beard, and Chris pointed out, he said, boy, he looks just like Scott Baldwin. And I'm sitting here, and yes.
Hopefully that's a compliment.
It's very similar, isn't it?
And his background is mental health.
That's right.
That's what he said, and I said, that's the
Yeah, that-
more now for mental health.
That's right.
But I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, you're absolutely right. You and Scott Baldwin could pass as twins. And you're both nice guys, so you have the same temperament. But yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. Well, we really appreciate all that you do, and now I think later in the agenda, Scott, you have something
I do.
in fact, we'll be getting there very shortly. So we'll call you back up. Denise, you're welcome to stay. You're very welcome to stay. If you have to move along, we understand. So whatever you prefer to do. Thank you both. That takes us to the next item, which is commissioner reports and comments. And we usually just kind of give an overview of what's been going on since our last meeting, which would have been, as noted, on April 30. I don't want to steal a lot of Commissioner Sanada's thunder, so I'll just highlight them and maybe he'll want to talk in more detail about it. But both he and I last Tuesday afternoon attended the Conservation District's Envirothon out at the Shenango Township Community Park. There were 3 school districts represented there, Union, Wilmington, and Laurel. I think I have that right. I'll let you talk about that more if you'd like. And then last Friday, all 3 of us, Commissioner Kennedy and myself and Commissioner Sanada, as we noted, we were at a meeting in Beaver County with county commissioners from the southwestern corner of the Commonwealth. We had an update from some economic development folks who work out of Pittsburgh. And then my 2 colleagues had the opportunity to tour the cracker plant down along the Ohio River in Beaver County. And again, I'll defer to Chris on that. And then finally, yesterday, the 3 of us, along with Mr. Vanasco and Alan Miller from our planning department, and some other folks from our maintenance staff, along with our engineering firm, Taylor Engineering, we spent most of the day touring and inspecting about half of the bridges that Lawrence County owns and maintains. And we'll continue this tour on Friday. We had done this back in 2021, I believe it was, when Commissioner Spielvogel and Commissioner Boyd were here. They had not seen some of the bridges that we own. So we thought, well, let's go around, visit each one. We'll get an update from the engineers as to the condition of the bridges. I'm happy to report that by and large, the conditions are good based on PennDOT's standards. And give credit to Taylor Engineering. They inspect and maintain these bridges throughout the course of each year. So just two pieces of trivia. Our largest bridge that the county owns is the Ewing Park Bridge in the borough of Elwood City, also known as the Sergeant Sabo Memorial Bridge. And then a lot of people don't realize this, but Lawrence County has two covered bridges. One is the Banks Covered Bridge in Wilmington Township, and the other is the Red Bridge that's located in McConnell's Mill State Park in Slippery Rock Township. A lot of people think that bridge is owned by the state because it's within state park property, but that bridge and the one up in Wilmington Township are both owned and maintained by the County of Lawrence. We're very proud of both of those bridges, and we try to take the best care of them as we're able to do. But those are my highlights. But Chris, I figured you'd be able to give some more detail if you'd like.
Sure, Chairman. I mean, it's been one of those weeks. I mean, besides the events we all did, we had a very busy weekend back in Lawrence County, and I'll just highlight a couple of things. Follow up with Commissioner Vogler. We had that opportunity to meet down at Beaver County with the commissioners from the Southwest, and Commissioner Kenny went to tour the cracker plant. I'm sure most of you have seen it if you've ever driven on Route 376, and it is amazing to actually see, the final product. There's over 600 people there, and we have many residents from Lawrence County working there. A lot worked there during the construction, but they're actually permanent one. Even with their own fire department, which was impressive. And some are people from Lawrence County, Chad.
Yeah.
They were trained here, now they're working down there. But I think that's what's really something, and it's something that we'll be talking about later in the meeting about economic development. And with that cracker plant is going to affect Lawrence County in a major way over the next 5 to 10 years through various projects and expansion. Spin-off jobs. So that's just something that I thought we did. And I'll just follow up briefly with the kids who did a great job up in Shenango Park, Laurel, Wilmington, Union. They were honored for Environmentech, and our conservation group here at the courthouse did a really nice job. Me and Commissioner Boger had that opportunity to go there. We got to present the awards. So I'll just talk a little about my last weekend. It was quite a busy weekend. Had an opportunity to go out to Wilmington. We had a real celebrity in Lawrence County, and I'm sure many of us older people remember Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. He was out in New Wilmington. It was the New Wilmington Rotary and the college, and they had a Peace Day and Peace for New Wilmington. So I went out there for a little bit. Got a chance to see Mr. McFeely. The last time was down in Newcastle. 11 years ago, I had a picture with him, and he hasn't aged too much. But the funny part about Mr. McFeely, and I think some of us in the room can relate to him, parents were there with their kids, and I think the kids, who's this gentleman, the parents were so excited to get their picture with Mr. McFeely, so that was a nice thing. And also had a chance, I want to commend the Agent Orange Veterans Project. I had a chance to go down to, it was right outside of Elwood City. They had a Veterans Weekend. And it was really a nice event. I said a few words I was able to speak, and I had to head back here. And my other big event for Saturday was I had an opportunity to bowl once a year for the Cray Youth and Family Center. They have their mentoring program. It's the old Big Brothers Big Sisters program. So I ended up doing that on Saturday as well. So it was a really fairly busy Saturday, and I don't want to leave out, I was at the courthouse. Commissioner Vogler was doing his duties within the courthouse with that Mr. Bucks's scholarship. He spent 8 hours here on Saturday, and I had the opportunity, I had to present the citation to Lawrence County ABATE. This is something that happens every year first Saturday. It's to promote motorcycle safety, and that's a very active group in our community. So I got the honor to do that once again this year. But I do want to mention Saturday, or Sunday. Now, was a very important event in our community, and we have some representatives in our audience today from the Humane Society. They have their Homeless to Homes major fundraiser. I have to give the Humane Society and all your volunteers, well as employees. And outstanding. The food was great, and to see so many people in our community turn out to support the homeless animals. We're going to have a discussion about that a little bit later in the program. But I do thank you for that effort and thank the community because when you have lines out the door to buy tickets to help with the animals, I think that shows the type of community which we have. So I just want to point that out to the community. And we have a long way to go. We'll talk about that later. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanada. Well, we'll move on to new business, and the first item, which number would that be?
89. 89.
89, thank you, Mr. Baldwin, if you wouldn't mind coming back up. Getting your exercise today. You have a amendment, this resolution is an amendment relative to contract we have with vocational and psychological services. You're asking us to adjust the stated maximum from $135,000 up to $215,000. But could you give us some of the background as to the nature of your request?
Yeah, vocational psychological services, I would call them like a cornerstone agency in the county. They provide both mental health and developmental services supports. And the two programs that have seen a lot of growth this year, one is our Project Search, which is an employment program we have with UPMC Jameson and Life Lawrence County, has seen growth this year. And with growth comes dollars. So the option is to say, well, we capped it at that amount so nobody can enter, or we adjust the budget to allow for more people to enter that. So that's part of the request. And the other is a respite program they run, which is for parents of children that need, let's say they need to go grocery shopping, or they even have a doctor's appointment and there's no one to care for those kids. The respite program goes in and gives them that support so they can sort of get out of the house a little bit. That has grown a lot. So with that, needs to have some more dollars with it. And also, at the end of the fiscal year, we get close to it. If there's dollars left over and agencies need some support for some minor renovations in their infrastructure, we'd like to do that as well. And so VoCPsych asked us for some building renovation support. So that's what the total, the $80,000 we're adding to their existing contract to go to those three needs, which would take it up to $215,000. So it'd be for this fiscal year.
What is the source of those funds?
Those are all human service block grant funding.
From the Commonwealth?
Yeah, so these don't touch any county dollars. And that's the beauty of the block grant. You know, it gives us the flexibility to move where the need is. And it's sort of what we do. That's our full-time job, is to look at the need and just shuffle those state dollars around.
Understood. I appreciate your most thorough explanation, and I'll see if Commissioner Sanada has any questions. Well, and neither do I. Again, Scott, you really got a handle on this, and we appreciate that. If there are no other questions, may I have a motion then for proposed resolution 89?
I move we approve resolution 89.
Thank you. I will second your motion. See if you have any last questions or concerns. I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes?
motion carries.
Thank you. Well, Scott and Denise, again, you're both welcome to stay, but if you have other things to head on to, which we understand, we do appreciate you joining us today. Take care. Next on the agenda is from proposal from the Children and Youth Services Department. And Mike Grippo is with us again. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Always a pleasure to have you. This is, I believe, a contract. Will this be a renewal, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, with Crossroads Group Homes and Services they're based in Farrell, Mercer County, but I'll let you fill us in.
Yeah, if I can get this. I'm not touching it no more. Okay.
Okay, we'll be able to hear you.
Yeah, they've been with us several years. And they're one of the least expensive group homes that we deal with. Now, currently, if you look on the sheet here, currently, we have 4 boys there. The girl side, they shut down last year, but they still have it certified. It's because they can't find labor to keep it open right now. But we do have 4 boys there. If you look at the second page on the rates, there was no increase from last year. So it's the same rate. And like I said, they're one of the least expensive group homes that we deal with. And they're very supportive. They'll go out of their way to do anything they can, you know, to provide. If they can take the child, they'll do whatever they can.
I would imagine too, Mike, the other nice thing is that in terms of the driving distance, they're right up the road,
Right,
especially
right.
376
Yeah.
and Linda Farrell. I mean, I know some of your providers are in the eastern part of the Commonwealth,
Yes,
whereas this
yes.
is, again, just right up the road. So you're, I assume, recommending that we approve
Approve
this.
this for the 24-25 contract. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me see if Commissioner Sanada has any questions.
That's pretty straightforward.
Okay, thank you. Chris, would you be willing to make a motion for
Yes.
Resolution 90?
I move we approve resolution 90.
Thank you. I will second your motion. And assuming there are no other questions, we can have Vanessa call the roll.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thanks, Vanessa. Well, Mike, always good to see you.
And don't touch this mic.
It's still working. That's the most, we can hear you real well. So, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You have a great day, sir.
Yeah.
Take care. Chad Strobel is the director of our Public Safety Department. Chad, just like we said to Mike, it's always a pleasure to have you here. And you have a maintenance agreement you would like for us to consider. And I'll let you fill us in on all the details. Is this a renewal? Are we currently doing work with these folks, or is this new?
This would be a new replacement from our existing vendor.
If you'd be kind and thank you, and if you wouldn't mind giving us all the specifics then.
This contract would be with Penn Power Systems, not confuse with First Energy. It's a company out of Cranberry, actually statewide, but our office is out of Cranberry. And they would provide annual maintenance on our 10 generators that we have throughout the county. We have 8 at our 8 tower sites. We have 1 main building generator at our public safety facility. And then we have a portable generator, trailer mounted generator we use for emergencies. So every year they'll come out once and do a preventative maintenance on it, go over it top to bottom, make sure everything looks good with it, change the fluids, all that. And then the other time they'll come out and run the generator for 2 hours, doing a load bank test to make sure it's putting out the correct amount of energy and it's stable. Most of our stuff requires a certain level of stability. Any power surges or drops would kind of shut it all down, so they come out and do that test as well. The price, if we do a 3-year term, which I'm requesting, would be year 1, $13,891, year 2, $14,307, year 3, $14,737. That works out to be, I believe it was right around $42,000. The service we have been using in the past since we got to this building, they went up from 38,000 total our last 3 years to 48,000 over the next 3 years. So this will be a savings of about $5,000 over 3 years. Plus their service, emergency service is a little more reasonable. With the service we're using right now, no matter where they're at, we get a charge for them to drive from Bridgeway to our building and back to Bridgeway.
You said Ridgeway?
Bridgeway, sorry, Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
So we get very pricey service calls. We had to do a router, needed rebooted in our building. It's attached to the generator. It was, I think, $1,600 the last time, just for them to come up, unplug it and plug it back in. So Penn Power Systems, their service rates are a little bit better. And entire contract over 3 years is about $5,000 savings.
Well, and it sounds as though they're also a little bit closer terms of
yeah.
driving distance.
Yeah, they're out of Cranberry, and after talking to their representative, they actually have a couple of Orange County residents working for them, so.
The prior company, would that be Bridgeville?
Yeah, sorry,
Bridgeville.
Bridgeville.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. Now, I was struggling with it too, trying to remember. Chad, when you looked into this company, and I'm glad you clarified, this company is not affiliated with the Penn Power that we know, that the electric, it's a separate entity altogether.
Yes.
When you looked into them, to your knowledge, do they serve any other counties in the region?
Beaver County. right
Okay.
now. Beaver County signed beginning of this year.
Okay,
They moved all their stuff from the same company that we were dealing with over to this.
okay,
They're a little bit different. They have a larger public works department within the county. They can do some of the basic work.
Yeah.
But the price for doing the load banks and the PMs every year was the same, and it was a lot cheaper than where we're at now, so.
well, I appreciate your looking into that. Anything else before I turn it over to Commissioner Sanada?
No, that's what we're looking for.
Thank you. Chris, do you have questions for
I think it's
Chad?
straightforward. We appreciate your efforts on this, Jim.
Thank you. And also, this will, a lot of this is, I think all of it's coming out of our 84% money from the state to run the 911 center, so it should have little or no effect on, the general fund. It's all reimbursable.
That's good to know also. When would the effective date be? Do you know, Chad?
Immediately, as soon as we get it signed.
I see.
We're at the end of our contract. We have no other services left, service appointments left on our current contract. I've been getting my reminders to re-sign that, so as soon as we get the paperwork, we're gonna give it to them and they take over.
Do you have that already for us? Okay, since I might be out this afternoon, I'll try to catch you and we'll
Yeah,
get it
it's right
signed.
here.
Okay, good. We'll get it signed this morning. Does it require 2 signatures? You know? We'll make sure if it does, that Chris is available.
Yes, it does.
Does require 2, I assume.
We'll take
We
it.
haven't voted yet, but that's, you're gonna vote yes. Because otherwise we'd have a tie.
I'll make the motion.
So, thank you, I appreciate, and I'll second your motion
Yes.
for resolution 91, which I assume means you're willing to sign it.
I'm willing to sign it.
Okay, good. So we'll get that done as quickly as we can, hopefully before 12 o'clock. So we have a motion on the floor for resolution 91. It's been seconded. Chris, I'm sorry, I apologize. Did I give you a chance to ask questions?
Yes,
I'm
I did.
sorry.
I said I'm very satisfied that he's found
Okay.
ways to save money that's coming out of his special class. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Chad, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Always appreciate your time that you come to spend with us.
No problem. Have a commercial.
Oh, okay, safe travels.
Yes.
Thank you.
Take
You guys
care.
have a great day.
Bye, Chad. The next 2 proposed resolutions, 92 and 93, we will be taking them separately, but they do relate to one another. For those of you who have been attending our meetings or following what we do up here as a Board of Commissioners, since 2020 and the onset of COVID, which changed so many things. In 2020, the Trump administration was in office at the time, and they implemented a program known as the CARES program, CARES, and the county received funding from the federal government, as did all counties throughout the country. And we utilized those dollars to assist municipalities throughout the county, volunteer fire departments that were eligible for the funding, small businesses through grants that we were able to make to them, nonprofits. And if I'm reading this correctly, the CARES money totaled about $7.7 million. Now, the interesting thing about that program, and Joe, you would remember this, we had to get that out out the door in a hurry. I think it was implemented in 2020, and I think it had to be spent by the end of 2020. Is that?
2020, maybe 2021.
Okay, but we didn't have a big window to get
No.
that money out.
No.
And our planning department did a wonderful job in overseeing that. So I wanted to make note of the fact that that was the first pot of money that the county received. Under the Biden administration, they implemented the American Rescue Plan. And once again, counties throughout the country received what was referred to as ARPA money, American Rescue Plan Act money, which we call ARPA money. I do want to point out that school districts received allocations from the federal government. And here in Lawrence County, every municipality, every city, we have one city, Newcastle, and the 10 boroughs and the 16 townships all received ARPA money. The city of Newcastle was the largest recipient, $2.2 million. And according to the document I have, I believe Shannick Township was second with $963,000. And then the borough of Elwood City with $762,000, Shenango Township, $745,000. And as you might imagine, was based a large part on population, so the smaller municipalities received smaller amounts. But even our smallest borough, SNPJ borough, got almost $2,000 from ARPA funds. But I point that out to note that not only did the county receive ARPA money, but the townships and boroughs did as well. The total amount, and Joe, I hope you'll verify this, but based on the documents I've been given, the total amount that was allocated to the county was $16.6 million.
16.609,704.
Okay, so we got right down almost to the penny. Now, the way the federal law was written, we were permitted to take, of that 16.6 million, the county was permitted to take 10 million of that, which was earmarked for revenue loss, and that money could go into the county's general fund. And the remaining 6.6 million was defined as restricted ARPA money. And there were guidelines that the federal government had implemented in terms of how we could earmark and distribute those dollars. And since this money has arrived, we've made a number of distributions. I'll note that the way the law is written, we have until the end of this calendar year to earmark these dollars. In other words, determine who it is that's going to receive this money. And then the recipients of these dollars have until the end of calendar year 2026 to spend these dollars. And the federal government does have oversight of this. So what we have done since we received these dollars is, and I'll start with the restricted money, the 6.6 million. We have allocated it in the following manner. And Joe, I might need your help on a few of these.
Sure.
We allocated and I'll round these numbers off, $652,000 to the assessment office. I'm trying to recall what.
New technology and additional flyovers for the property assessments.
Thank you. Our jail received $391,000, and a lot of that was for upgrades of a lot of their mechanical systems.
Yeah, they have units on their roof, and a majority of the units were not. I think we were running on 1 out of 4 that were the original air handling units.
That jail is 34 years old.
Yes, and we had those replaced.
Thank you. Lawrence County Social Services received $276,000, and I believe that was for the improvements that have been made at the Frew Mill campus in Shenango Township, or am I wrong?
No, I believe you're correct. And there may have been a food program during COVID as well that we ran. We were bringing food out to people and get to the grocery stores.
And that was administered by this agency?
Yes.
Okay. The Township of Mahoning received $250,000 that was earmarked for the sewage treatment plant that they operate there. And again, these that I'm listing had to meet the federal guidelines. So what we did with each of these requests, we consulted with the county's auditors. They have staff attorneys and staff CPAs who studied the law very carefully. We would go to them and say, is this eligible? And they would either say, yes, it is, or no, it isn't. So what I'm reading here are the ones that were deemed to be eligible under the restricted account. The New Wilmington Borough Economic Development Organization received $60,000. Westminster College, which is also located in the borough of New Wilmington, received $250,000. That was for upgrades and equipment for their nursing program,
Yes.
if I recall.
Expansion of nursing program.
Thank you. We undertook a study for broadband expansion in the county. We named that study Link Up Lawrence. Planning Office oversaw that study along with Michael Baker organization. We earmarked $245,000 for that. The Redevelopment Authority received of Lawrence County received $250,000. Was that for property acquisition / demolition? Is that your
Correct.
recollection? Okay, thank you. Down in the borough of Elwood City, they undertook a facade improvement program along Lawrence Avenue and Fifth Street. We earmarked $50,000 for that. The Township of Neshannock received $900,000 to upgrade or to basically move from septic systems in a couple of neighborhoods that are significantly failing to allow for sanitary sewer expansion into those neighborhoods. The City of Newcastle, we allocated $800,000 to. I believe that at least two of the reasons were, one, and it was channeled through the Redevelopment Authority for the First Merit demolition, if I'm not mistaken. And I think some of that may have been earmarked for street paving. Is that your recollection?
Yes.
Thank you. Butler County Community College, which they have, of course, a facility out in Union Township. We earmarked $200,000 for them. We followed up, I mentioned the CARES program back in 2020 and 2021. And we took $597,000 to conclude the small business grant program that we had started under the CARES program. We still had some applicants that we had not been able to get to. Do I have that
Yes,
right?
when we closed out the CARES funding, we still had applications that we weren't able to fulfill at that time. So when the second tranche of money came into the county, we filled.
Thank you. Our county's internal information technology department received $60,000, again, for some upgrades that are needed here within our courthouse organization. Now, up there are more, but these are ones that we will be voting on here shortly that fall under the restricted. So the first 15 that I've talked about are ones that have already been voted on by either this board or previous boards of commissioners. Now, I mentioned the $10 million that was earmarked as unrestricted. And I should note too that in documents I've seen from our State Association of County Commissioners and in conversations we've all had with our fellow commissioners around the Commonwealth, what we're doing is very similar to what most counties are doing. Many of the counties are keeping some of this money in-house for their internal needs, and then they are distributing some of those dollars out into their respective communities. Now, we did have some requests that did not meet the restricted guidelines, so we utilized unrestricted dollars, two of which are Forward Lawrence. It was earmarked for Forward Lawrence and then transferred over to the Shenango Township Economic Development Board for the work that they're doing out in what was known as Lawrence Village Plaza. I think they're calling that Shenango Commons. Does that sound right? So we were able to distribute those dollars. And then Forward Lawrence, which is the county's economic development agency, Mr. Kennedy represents us on that board. We have allocated 200, bear with me a minute. We did allocate that already, didn't we?
No, we're doing it. It's on,
There it is. Thank you. I apologize. I jumped ahead of myself. So hold that for just a moment. We'll come back to that very shortly. Thank you for catching me. I will also note that along the way, and it came out of the county's general fund, so directly or indirectly, this would have been unrestricted dollars. A couple of years ago, we did allocate $150,000 to the Newcastle Airport Authority for the enhancements out of the airport in Union Township. Now, the requests that we're going to be considering today are, I will say, the last of the requests as it relates to the restricted dollars. After we vote today, assuming we vote today, the restricted category should be zeroed out. And we will not be in a position to entertain any future requests. We've been able to address most of the requests that we've received, but not all. And there are a couple that we're looking for some alternative means by which we can provide them some funding. We had an agency come to us, Mr. Vanasco believes we can perhaps find some funds through mental health and developmental services to assist them. So you'll find that agency's not on here, but we're looking for some other ways to help them. So what we're looking at today are the last of the requests, and we've had to break them out into two proposed resolutions. The first being proposed resolution 92. These would be coming from the unrestricted fund. By the way, I meant to mention one other thing, and I apologize. With the unrestricted dollars, and I mentioned one of the things we need to do is utilize some of those dollars for some in-house needs. And one very significant need that we have right away is the roof on this building that we're sitting in. This building was built in the late 70s, and it still has the same original roof. And we have had leaks on the third floor. And unfortunately, the courtrooms are located on the third floor. So we've actually had some damage to courtroom ceilings. Our judges have been very understanding and very patient. We've done some patching to alleviate that problem, but both the prior Board of Commissioners and this Board of Commissioners in our discussions have made a priority of getting that roof replaced. And that's not going to be cheap, but it needs to be done. So I did want to point out that that's one area that we're looking at. But sorry for rambling on here, but I thought we needed to have all this background established and part of the record. So today, what we're looking at are some of the final requests that we have received, both internally and externally. Proposed resolution 92 would do the following, and this would come from the unrestricted fund. And I started to talk about this, and Joe and Chris caught me, but we would earmark $250,000 to Forward Lawrence, the economic development agency, which is independent of county government, but we consider them to be a partner. They wish to undertake a site assessment analysis. And one of the things we hear more often than not from economic development professionals is that we need to have, as a county, a better handle on what sites are available when developers and site selectors look at Lawrence County to locate businesses. And we need to determine where these sites are, how many acres they are, what access do they have to public utilities and highways, et cetera. So Ben Bush has requested our assistance in allowing them to utilize some of these funds to enter into an agreement with a firm that will help them with this site assessment. We also received a request from Wilmington Township for $35,000 to assist with the construction of a handicapped accessible gazebo in Marty Park. And Union Township has requested $35,000 to pave roads located in their township park, Scotland Meadows. The final portion of this resolution, and this is why I think some of you folks are in the audience, and bear with me on this, because this has actually been divided in two ways. This resolution will earmark to the Lawrence County Humane Society $28,835. Now, that's not the final amount. I'll get to that in just a moment. So that's what falls under the unrestricted dollars that we may be voting on here shortly. Proposed Resolution 93 is the restricted money. And again, all of these requests, we double checked with the attorneys and accountants at our auditing firm to make sure they fell within the guidelines of the federal government. We are earmarking the following. To the Hickory Township Municipal Authority, $42,711 to assist them in the purchase and installation of new pumps. And I believe I'm assuming to assist with their sewage treatment. Taylor Township is in need of a plant upgrade at their sewage treatment plant. We're earmarking $250,000. Once again, $250,000 to Taylor Township. Wilmington Township is undertaking a significant expansion of their wastewater sewage infrastructure, both for industrial and commercial and residential. And we will be earmarking $900,000 to them. The Lawrence County Fair has requested funding. And for these next three that I'm going to mention, one of the federal guidelines in terms of being able to qualify for unrestricted dollars is you had to show a documented loss of revenue. And that permitted us to fund that loss. So when the fair approached us, they determined that the loss that they had undertaken or had realized amounted to $113,000. So this resolution would earmark that dollar amount to the Lawrence County Fair. New Visions, which is based here in the city of Newcastle, was able to document a $30,000 loss of revenue. So we will, assuming this is approved, earmark $30,000 for them. Then finally, the Lawrence County Humane Society demonstrated through documentation a loss of $71,165. So what we decided to do, strike that, what we anticipate doing when we vote is taking the $71,165 from the restricted fund, coupling that with the $28,835 from unrestricted, which should equal $100,000. And I will tell you, for those of you who are here today from the society, all three of us are in accord, but you have a very, very strong advocate in the gentleman to my far left here. I do want to point that out. So, Chris, I've done a lot of talking here. Can we circle back and start with proposed resolution 92, if you'd like to start with your comments about that resolution?
I think that Chairman Vogler really put this out there, where the dollars, in the history of the ARPA money. This is a new board now with myself, Commissioner Vogler, Commissioner Kennedy. So a lot of money was spent before we were here. And so we're dealing pretty much with about $1.5 million for this board. And I will say this, last week, we had about a 2.5-hour meeting. We had Comptroller, Preston Pine there, who's our numbers guy, the three commissioners, Amy, plus a lot of the numbers, and Joe Vanasco. And this is where you sit down and you look at the requests. And I want to commend first Commissioner Vogler for your efforts and your history. And, he brought back dollars. And, we want to be as fair as we possibly can. We distribute money We looked at organizations that received money and some come back for more. They sort of, we try to give money out to those who have not received money. And I think that was the fairest way. When you look at dollars, and I mean, the biggest word that we were saying was economic development. I mean, it was something that's been talked about for a long time. And as Commissioner Vogler said, when this meeting's over, probably within a half hour or so, ARPA's done. There is no more money. And we wanted to make sure we made investments in the community. And when you see some of the dollars, with Forward Lawrence getting to 250,000, there's going to be opportunities for them to tap into other dollars with some of the programs in Harrisburg. And as Commissioner Vogler said, this has been an issue. We don't have the sites, or it's not ready. It's something that happened a few months ago. I think we need to talk about a stone crest. That is going to be an economic boom, I believe, for Lawrence County. And it goes back to the cracker plant, as I said earlier. It's close. You got the turnpike, you got the highway. I mean, so we have to be prepared because economic development is probably everybody's top priority in Lawrence County. And with these dollars and with this investment, I consider everything we're doing here today as an investment, because you just don't give money away, then nothing happens. With at least, I can't speak what happened the prior few years, but what we talked about at this meeting, and we have been talking about it, is investing in the community. So the $250,000, which we are going to invest, we're expecting dividends to be paid within a few years. Mr. Bush knows that. Fort Lawrence knows that. I mean, they're not coming back for more money. They hopefully will be generating revenue when we get these people working for the community and potential growth in the community that will generate dollars for Lawrence County. So this is what we call investment. The $900,000 out in Wilmington Township, that is to enhance, and they're supposed to be, Mr. Kennedy's not here today, but I'm sure he could tell you, and he made a strong case, they are going to be creating more jobs out there. They're going to be expanding many of the business there. They're not getting tax breaks. Okay, they're not going to get no tax breaks. So they will generate more tax revenue for the county over the next, hopefully, 20 or 30 years, if those plans are, because you have to have SOAR. You have to have that for some of these plants to actually locate and to grow. And the potential's there. So we're considering that an investment. And we look at, the Lawrence County Fair as part of the tourism industry. They're there for the week. And we want to generate more people out there. And that generates money for the community. We consider that investment. And we go, in New Visions, they had their loss, and they do a lot to promote the community. And we go down to the Humane Society. And that's why this is, we're talking $71,165. That was the max you qualified. And I want to personally thank Commissioner Vogler and Commissioner Kennedy, because we wanted to get it to $100,000. And they both agreed to it. It was a unanimous decision. So I thank them for that. Because $100,000, and I know that their major project is to build that new facility. And I want to see that happen. And we have to get this done. Now you have a timetable, because you don't want to lose that money. And I know you're all committed to doing this. And I think today is such an important day. And that's why it's so important you're here today. And we need to get that message out to the community that we need this to happen in the community. When I say the word investment, a lot of people don't realize you service every township, borough, the city in this county. You're an important part of this. There's not a day you go on social media that there's not an animal missing or someone's dropping it off at the Humane Society. I've been there, and I use the history lesson a little bit. Me and Commissioner Vogler had a little conversation this morning. I brought a lot of old pictures up here, and I haven't had time to go through all of them. I had to put them in a big box when I was done in Harrisburg, and I'm going to take some time. But I remember a picture, I couldn't find it yet, Lois, but I had a picture from 29 years ago when I first became a legislator. Cindy Medica. Everyone remembers Cindy, who loved animals, and we considered part of the Humane Society. So And we had a picture with Cindy and a very young Lois Winter is in that picture as well.
You're still described that way.
Oh,
Very
gee,
young.
thanks.
And I always remember it, and Cindy gave me what to do, because a lot of people don't realize what you do up there. And Marge and your whole team and the volunteers, and you see the kids who give up their birthday money to try to help animals. And we'll let you speak a little bit later when the next comment comes, which you can tell us, but I think that is so important. And that's why this has been a passion issue of mine, because I want to see I see, and I've been out in the community for 30 years, and I've seen what you do in the community. At the community events, you're there, promoting and protecting the animals. They don't have a voice. It's up to us, and it's up to you, and it's up to the community. And for those who don't like animals, we see what they've done. And, I had, in my prior career, I had a chance, we passed Lieber's Law to go after the bad guys and the people who hurt animals. That was the passion there. So this is a little different role. Now we're going to do something different. So I think, that's an investment. We're counting on you to, do what you have to do. And we're going to count on community. Okay, this is today's beginning as you start your campaign for that new facility. And I think that we need to get the word out. And I'm so proud the county is making our investment in a Warrenstown Community Society. And I think that's just so important. So that's my, my comments. And when I look at what we're doing, what we're spending, and there's been so many requests. And I remember, the list, it was up here, here's the money, and here's what we had. And that's what was so difficult. So when we were in that room for 2.5 hours, we tried to do it in the fairest way possible. And if there's some who aren't eligible, and there was a lot who were not eligible. That's the problem with this. And for those, we weren't able to assist. I know that Joe Vanasco, he crunches numbers on a daily basis, and we try to work with other agencies. Is there a way we can support? So we want to try to do that. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with the state and the federal government. Is there going to be more? Probably not. I don't see more money coming, at least to us here. But there's other sources. I mean, you want to work with your state elected officials and your federal elected officials, because there is money out there. It's time they bring some of it here. So, but our money is being spent today, and this is it. I mean, but I'm just pleased that we're able to help many in the community, whether some parks. And when you look at the list, and Commissioner Vogler read that the list which happened prior to this year, there was a lot of many that were helped out. There was a lot of businesses that were helped out during the COVID time. I remember what a terrible time it was for everybody. So I think, what we did was try to be fair, try to be reasonable. And I will say this, we did it in a way, all three of us, Commissioner Kennedy, Commissioner Vogel, and myself, we all had input, we all had our priorities. And at the end, everything was unanimous. We agreed to it. Do I want more? Yes, I wish I could give you more money. I wish I could help more out there. Unfortunately, the numbers aren't there. We were down to $1.5 million. And when you look at it, and most of it was restricted. The other we had to take out of the other fund. And, and like I said, most of that, what's left there is going to be used to fix the building and to do what we have here. And I go back to that word investment, okay? This building needs a roof. We're talking millions, potentially millions of dollars. But I consider that an investment, because if we don't do it, we don't use these funds, then we have to use general funds, which means taxpayer dollars. And if those funds aren't there, it could actually be an increase. Our goal is not to increase taxes. We want to try to keep taxes where they're at. Mr. Vanasco goes through those numbers on a weekly basis to try to keep us on target. Where's the money being spent? As you see, Scott was here today. He found a way of saving a few dollars, okay? Or tapping dollars at other sources. So that's what we're trying to do. We want to be fiscally responsible, fiscally, the right way. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. And we only generate money one way for county, and that's through the property tax. So what we have to do, we've got to expand the base. We've got to create more opportunities. We have to get more people to move to Lawrence County, and we need people to build houses or build businesses to come here so we can collect property taxes. And the more that come spreads out the burden amongst others. When they're not there, And if the pie shrinks, that burden goes upon you and other people. So I'm just trying to give you our somewhat of an idea, which we have. Will it work? I hope so. I mean, these investments, there's never a guarantee on investment. If you're in the stock market, you always want it to go up, and sometimes it doesn't. But I think we try to be as fiscally prudent as we can. If we're gonna entice these new businesses out in Wilmington Township, they're gonna be property taxpayers, and that's what we want to see. And Taylor Township, they need help, and that's the same scenario with them, with the sewage facility. And they qualify under the restricted fund. So I hope I try to give it somewhat of an explanation of what we're doing, why we did it. And, we want to, our goal as the three of us, we sat down with 6 months already. We sat down in November and we said, we're gonna work together. And I will say this, we have done that. We've tried to be a team at this, and I want to thank Commissioner Vogler. He's made me part of that team, as well as Commissioner Kennedy, because he's the senior man, 20 plus years. But we need that type of experience, because sometimes you have ideas and you say things, oh, this should be great. And Dale's going to say, wait, I wish we could do that, but here's the rules, here's the regulations. Or Joe will tell us they won't approve it. And I want you to understand, when we ask for paperwork from many of the organizations, and I was harping on that, as you know, because we had to get it in there. We weren't the ones who say, oh, that's okay, we'll take it. Where do we send that, Joe? How's that work? Just give us
We send it to our accountants, basically, Stella Kowski and Axelrod, and they basically know the laws of the ARPA funding inside and out, and they tell us what we can use and what we can't use, if we can use it at all or not at all.
We don't always agree, but we try, and especially Joe. But I'm saying that's the process, that's what we use, and that's where we are today. So that's pretty much what I have to say. And what's our next step, Chairman? Do you make the motion, or?
Yeah, let me just follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very quickly. I do want to do two things real quick, and then I can take a motion from you. I neglected to mention there's some folks that worked very hard, not only with the ARPA money, but with the CARES money as well. Two of them are in this room, Vanessa Bayless and Joe Vanasco. They've devoted a lot of time and effort to this process for the last 4 years. And obviously Amy McKinney and her staff in our planning office, our county controller, Dave Prestapine, and his staff have been very, very helpful and very, very cooperative with us. And of course, Corey Johnson, who's our CPA and our auditor, and his staff of attorneys have helped guide us as well. I do want to note that the resolution that we're going to be considering here does read as follows. The American Rescue Plan Act requires that the local fiscal recovery fund money be used for expenditures on or after March 3 of 2021 to do the following: to respond to the COVID-19 public health emergency or its negative economic impacts. Number 2, for the provision of government services to the extent of the reduction of revenue of the applicable local government due to COVID-19 public health emergency relative to revenues collected in the most recent full fiscal year of that local government. 3, for premium pay for essential workers. And 4, to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. And that's incorporated into this resolution. And when we did have the conversations, and they've been ongoing conversations amongst the group that I've mentioned, what Amy McKinney in particular was able to do, and again, working closely with Vanessa and Joe and Mr. Prestapine, they pulled together the consensus that they felt we had talked about, which allows us today to make these formal and final decisions. So the first one, as noted, would be 92, which is the unrestricted dollars. And once again, under that would fall Forward Lawrence for $250,000, Marty Park in Wilmington Township for $35,000, Scotland Meadows Park in Union Township, $35,000, and the Lawrence County Humane Society for $28,835. This is the first resolution of 2 would you be willing to make a motion?
Yes, I make that motion to accept resolution 92.
Thank you. I will second your motion. Do you have any other comments, Mr. Sanada? Thank you. We'll take a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Vanessa. And then Resolution 93, this is pertaining to the restricted fund money. And as we've both stated, after we vote on this, the restricted fund dollars have now been depleted. They are as follows. Hickory Township, the Hickory Township Municipal Authority, $42,711. Taylor Township, $250,000. Wilmington Township, $900,000 towards wastewater sewage infrastructure. And for Taylor, it's a sewage treatment plant upgrade. Lawrence County Fair, $113,000 based upon their documented loss of revenue. Same is true for New Visions, $30,000. And then finally, based on the loss of revenue documentation, the Lawrence County Humane Society, $71,165. Is there a motion for Resolution 93?
Move we accept resolution 93.
I'll second your motion. Any final comments, Mr. Sanada?
No, I just think that, like you said, it's a long process. We've been working on this for a few months, but like you said, all came to a head about a week ago. We all sat down and crunched the numbers, and this is the final product. Like I said, I wish we had more. Unfortunately, this is everything we have. And I feel comfortable where we're putting the money because I think they're all, as I said earlier, these are investments in the community. Whether it's infrastructure investments, job opportunity investments, or organizations such as the Humane Society do a lot. And these are investments for the future. So that's it.
Thank you, Chris. We'll have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm going to, unless Mr. Sanada objects, we have some couple of budget matters to tend to. You folks are all welcome to stay. It should take maybe 5 or 10 minutes. But if you are pressed for time, I would be very willing and happy to open it up for public comment right now if you need to leave, or if you want to stay and make the comments right before we adjourn. But out of respect for your schedules, because this is running a little longer than usual, I'll open the floor if anybody would wish to make a comment at this time.
Well, we appreciate all that you've done for the Humane Society. We are a vital nonprofit for the county because we are the only game in town when it comes to where the animals go, the unwanted animals. So we appreciate your help in our goals to save all these animals. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lois.
Thank you.
That was Lois Winter. And again, we'll do public comment one other time, but
Sir, I'll wait that.
okay, thank you. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Black. How's Brian?
Doing well.
Give him my
I will
best.
tell them.
Please, thank you.
All right, take care.
Thank you, sir. You're all very welcome to stay. We have a couple procedural matters we got to conduct, so please, unless you have to go, we understand. Next on the agenda is a budget amendment. This is proposed resolution 94. About 6 or 8 weeks ago, the Board of Commissioners voted to name the North Street Bridge here in the city of Newcastle. It will now be referred to as the Albert P. Gettings Memorial Bridge. And we anticipate that there will be a service to dedicate the bridge, I believe, on Saturday, May 25. Does that sound right? My eyesight isn't what it used to be. 25.
Yes.
Saturday before Memorial Day. The Veterans Office received unanticipated revenue of $3,000 that came in. And this budget amendment document makes note of that fact. And that came from the Community Foundation. And they've asked that that $3,000 be used to cover expenses for the bridge dedication. So we're increasing the revenue line item by 3,000, and then we're going to increase the expense line item under other services for that department's office. Did I get that all right?
Perfect.
Thank you. Chris, comments? Chris, would you be willing to make a motion for 94?
I move we accept resolution 94.
I'll second your motion. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thanks, Vanessa. 95, resolution 95 is a transfer. This request is coming from both the controller's office and the commissioner's office. They're looking at a transfer of $3,185 from the ARPA contingency line item. This is for eligible IT expenses. Joe, you're going to have to help me here. What does PREV in CONG setting mean? Do you know?
It was previously allocated to Bill, however, to our IT department, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He did not spend the full amount
Right?
and he kind of circled back. Now, I'm not sure what the CONG contingent.
Maybe that's contingency. Does that make any sense to you, what that says?
I think it's contingent.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got a handle on it? Okay. And the controller's office has reviewed it, and in fact, it's actually,
It's like- yeah, it
it's
actually
coming from
came
them.
them.
Okay, okay. You have any concerns?
No, I move we accept.
Thank you. This is resolution 95. I'll second your motion. Again, unless you have any comments. Do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then we have 3 transfer requests to consider. Chris, I'm gonna walk through them. Stop me if you need to, okay? The first one, the juvenile probation office is asking for a transfer of $4,173.50 from their contingency into the line item of uniforms, and that's to assist in the purchase of bulletproof vests for their staff. The jail is asking for a transfer of $63,800. Of that, $50,000 is coming from their grocery line item into maintenance and repair. $13,800 is coming from their temporary part-time line item into equipment lease and rental. We've been having, and it's soon going to be addressed, I believe, but we've been having the need to rent a generator at the jail.
I believe we are good. We're real close to being good. If the repairs are finished now, that we shouldn't have too many more lease agreements with them.
Well, and thank you for that. Fortunately, they've been able to cover it within their budget, so that's good. Thank you, Joe. And then finally, the Human Resources Office is asking for a transfer of $1,115.06 from their contingency into maintenance and repair line item. Chris, any concerns about those requests?
No, everything's straightforward.
Would you like to make a motion to approve?
I move we accept the resolution.
Thank you, sir. I'll offer the second and see if Vanessa could call the roll, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Under announcements, the Board of Commissioners will meet in public 1 week from today. It's our regular meeting on Tuesday, May 14 in this room. Welcome all of you to attend. At noon today, and it's been advertised, the county's opioid advisory committee will meet in this room 12 o'clock noon, and it's open to the public if you'd like to attend. The prison board, which consists of the 3 commissioners, the county controller, the sheriff, the president judge, and the district attorney, 7 of us, and that's based on state law. The prison board will meet on Wednesday, May 15 at 12 noon in this room, and that meeting is open to the public. And then finally, it's not on your agenda, but the Board of Elections, which consists of the 3 commissioners, the board is currently in recess to the call of the chair, and Mr. Germani from that office has requested that we reconvene. And there will be a legal ad in the paper noting this, but the election board will reconvene on Monday, May 13 at 8:30 a.m. in this room. And that meeting is also open to the public. I believe those are the announcements we have at this time. So that takes us to our final public comment. Does anybody have a comment they'd like to make? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is EJ Fike. I'm the Community Affairs Manager for Vesper Energy. We're trying to develop the Firefly Solar Project out in North Beaver Township. I was just here to announce the launching of a veterans program that we've created. I'm working with the Gary Sinise Foundation and the Robert Irvine Foundation to present a paralyzed veteran with an iBot wheelchair. It's a $40,000 wheelchair, has like the treads on them where they can like go anywhere basically. So we're going to select a veteran from Lawrence County to present that to them at a special concert in Erie, September 11th, where, Gary Sinise will be there, Robert Irvine, some other celebrity veteran folks. The governor shall be there, CEO of Erie Insurance, Tim DeCastro. I'm inviting the commissioners as well to come. But what I'm really here for is just for your help to help identify that person. I think some of you, we've met before. I live in Erie. So I'm not familiar with all the people here. So I could really use some help just identifying the person that would need that. No strings attached. They don't need to give us anything. We're doing this as part of our outreach programs here in the community. I've already reached out to your Veterans Affairs Department here. I believe the director was on PTO for the last couple of weeks. So I think he or she's going to be getting back to me. But if there's anybody, I think this would be a really cool thing for somebody here in the community. And just really want to do that. And then I wanted to also let you all know about our Firefly Scholarship Program. The deadline for that is June 1st. We're going to be giving 2 $5,000 scholarships to Mohawk School District seniors. So they can be going to trade school, college, whatever, any post-secondary education. All they have to do is be a graduating senior from the Mohawk Area School District and they're eligible. They can go online to our website, fireflysolarpa.com. And they can apply for the scholarship. I picked the scholarship. I mean, it's super easy. So all they really have to do is write an essay on what motivates them and give me some of their information. We'll be announcing that probably like the second week of June. I'll give you guys a little update so you can do that. And if we do a ceremony or anything, I'll make sure you're aware of it as well. And then lastly, I have, as I said to you, I have my community grant program. We have a deadline for May 15th. We do quarterly grants. We do $30,000 a year, so it's a $7,500 revolving grant. Last quarter, I had $2,500 left over because only 2 people applied to it. So please, let me give you some money. But that was really it. And then thank you for your time and everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate, first of all, you being here today and staying as long as you had to stay. And boy, you hit the nail on the head. Jessie Putnam, Ms. Putnam, is our Veterans Affairs Director, and you're right. She's been called. She's in military service. I think
Yes,
she's
she'll be back
next week.
Oh, okay.
So she's the point person. If you'd want to. And do you know where their office is? It's right out.
Yeah, we'll
okay,
stop
right out
by
the
after
door.
this. Yep.
And but I think talking to either her, she has 2 staff people. They're both great. Or Jessie herself, but would you agree that Jessie would be
Yes.
the most appropriate person to
Okay.
speak? And she's a good lady. I think you'll enjoy dealing with her.
Awesome. Yeah, and if you're interested in kind of looking about or doing a little research about what I'm talking about, they did this last year. They gave away one of these chairs. It's on Robert Irvine Foundation's website and everything. So
Good.
it's a little background on that.
I'm also glad you're here, and I have to maybe apologize in advance. We received an invitation that came through the Chamber of Commerce, Forward Lawrence, I believe, involving an open house this Friday.
Yes, we opened an office here in Newcastle. We're not going anywhere, just so you guys know. And it's actually in the Career Link Center. So we're going to be doing our ribbon cutting ceremony on Friday morning, and then just like a little open house if anyone wants to learn about our project and what we're doing.
And I have to tell you, I made a bit of a blunder, and I'll tell you what I did. I spoke on behalf of my 2 colleagues, and I should not have done that. And I've since sent them an email apologizing. You may have heard us say, this coming Friday, we've got the whole day blocked out for the second day of our bridge inspection tour. So I wrote back to Lindsay at the chamber and told her that. I said, the three of us do have that commitment. Then it dawned on me, I said, wait a minute, I shouldn't be speaking for Chris or Dan. That's not right of me. So I sent an email to Chris and Dan apologizing for doing that. So I don't know what their plans are. I've got to be on the bridge tour, so I unfortunately can't join you. So I'll leave it up to them. So forgive me for that.
We had to cancel. We weren't able to do the Waltham Coffee Shop yesterday because we were invited to do that. We were going to find the Commissioner notified you. We will have to do the bridge tour. That was set up actually for us to see these bridges, and we will have the engineers with us. But maybe we'll set something up to come down and check it out after.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
be happy to come down and get
Anytime.
some coffee, and we'll be happy to check out your facility down there. So that's what we're going to do with the coffee shop. That we missed Monday, so I'll do the same thing for you. Like I said, unfortunately, we like to do those type of things, and anytime someone's setting up an office within Lawrence County. But this bridge tour was set up, about a month, 2 months ago. Yeah. And we have to get the top 4 engineers.
But I do apologize. I should not have spoken for you, and please forgive me for that.
You're fine, don't worry about that.
Thank you for understanding. And Mr. Kennedy will be back tomorrow.
Okay.
From his trip to Harrisburg. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for helping the community out. These guys do a good job.
Absolutely.
Are there other public comments? Lori?
Yes, I just want to say thank you again for distributing some of the money, earmarking it. Sorry, I get so emotional. But I mean, it's unfortunate that there is such a need for us. But yet we're very fortunate that there's also so many people who care about the animals, and your earmarking it is going to be a huge step closer for us to build this shelter. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome. And I'll repeat myself. And I'm sure if Mr. Kennedy were here, he would agree. But I do want to reemphasize you have a very strong advocate. We all like what you do, and we're all supportive, but this gentleman is quite a cheerleader.
And we have appreciated Chris through the years. He shows up at every one of our events, and I hope you won a raffle basket on Sunday. I haven't checked.
I won a few, but I didn't get no phone calls.
Oh, okay. Well, we're doing that today. We're organizing. That's why Margie couldn't come, because she's organizing all that. But we do appreciate what the county does for us. As I said before, we are a vital, vital organization for this county. Where else would these animals go? And when I first started with this, being on the board, it was like 45 years ago, and we were taking in 350 animals a month. Now we take in 350 animals a year. But that's 350 animals that we can't house. We can only house 23 dogs and maybe 30 cats. That's why we need to build a new shelter. The shelter we're in, the building we're in now, is falling apart. We just invested $6,500 in fixing the drains and everything. And we had to replace fluorescent lights. We're pouring money into a shelter that is beyond its useful life. So we're meeting with an architect again tomorrow to finalize the plans for a new shelter. But to build what we really, really need to last for the rest of our lives and the county, it's going to take $5 million, maybe $6 million. So we're going to need the support, continued support of this county, and looking for grants, and we're doing whatever we can to raise these funds. Because if we fall short on raising this money, we're not going to get a new shelter. And we want to double the capacity that we have now. Plus, we will be doubling the jobs too. We are going to have to hire more people from the county. So we appreciate everything you do for us, everything that the community does for us. And if you find any more money, let us know. But we appreciate everything.
The state representatives, state senators, and the congressman's office. You want to look for potentially RCAP, any of those type of programs and those grant programs are out there. I would definitely reach out to all, because like I said, our money's pretty much done. What we had is if we had, but there's other programs out there that could qualify for something like this. So I think
Well, we
that's
appreciate you considering us and including us in this. I think we do a great job. Like I said, I've seen this place evolve from a high kill shelter to a no kill shelter, and all the programs that we offer and all that we do for these animals. You can see it's my passion, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. But thank you.
We appreciate everything you do. And Laura, you and I go back a ways. You were a great supervisor out in Pulaski Township. We appreciate your public service. I know that this is your other passion, and you and Dr. Paul, we thank you for you've been great members of our community. I know that you're very active, and I'll tell them story at the end. When I did my student teaching on Shenango and I directed a play, Leanne was one of my directors. We won't talk about.
That was a
your-
little while ago.
That's when I first met Leanne,
That was
and
a
her
little
husband,
while ago.
Dr. Paul, and I were friends as little kids. Our parents, my mom and her mom, Dr. Paul's mom, were very close friends. So we go back,
Yeah.
those years. So, but we appreciate everything you and Dr. Paul do for us.
Well, and Leanne is
Thank you.
working is working very, very hard on our second annual Fur Ball that we are going to have in September 14th. And that is going to be our big campaign kickoff for our capital fund for the new shelter.
It's a gala type event.
Yeah.
It'll be held at the cathedral, and I'll extend an invitation when
Sure.
it gets a little
That
bit.
stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Chair.
No, you're fine, Chris, thank you. Any other public comment before we get ready to close out the meeting? Well, again, we normally are out of here by about 11:15. We had a lot of business to cover, and so this meeting ran a little bit longer than usual, but that happens. We appreciate all of you joining us today. Closing comments, anything, Mr. Sonata?
No, I think we had a good meeting.
Thank you, sir. Vanessa or Joe, anything we've overlooked? Thank you. May I have an adjournment motion?
I believe you, Chair.
I'll second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Meeting's adjourned, and Joe will turn off the computer for us. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Like your sponsorship level for that. I was actually just gonna turn around.
I'm gonna have to-
For you guys, so the fact